Hello and welcome to Whispers in the Dark, the show that dares to speak what should remain buried. Brought to you by Dark Dial Studios, where nightmares are curated, categorized, and sometimes accidentally broadcast. We'd like to thank our new audio engineer, Adam Graves, for stepping in at the last minute. We also like to not thank our previous engineer, who is, let's say, no longer with us. Please bear with us as we recalibrate, rewire, and hopefully avoid further technical difficulties. And remember, no real audio engineers were harmed in the making of this podcast, so please refrain from emailing us your dreadful comments. Now turn out the lights, put your headphones on, and listen closely. Today's episode is the Candlelight Manuscript, part of our Secret Library podcast. Ah, you're early. Good. That means you know how to listen. And here, in the secret library, listening is how you stay alive. Welcome, traveler. I am the keeper. No names needed. Names carry too much weight here, and not all of them stay on the page. You can consider me kind of a librarian. You're standing in a place lost to time, hidden between the aisles of the ordinary. The secret library houses books that were never meant to be found. Tales whispered into bindings, inked into panic, stitched shut with warnings long ignored. Some say the stories inside are cursed. Others believe the books are alive. I say they're both. Tonight, we unseal one such manuscript. It came to us wrapped in wax cloth, warm to the touch, its spine unmarked. Some called it folklore, others forbidden, but we call it what it is, the Candlelight Manuscript. Listen closely now, the flame has been lit. It arrived on Monday. No name, no return address, just a slim parcel wrapped in wax cloth, left at the foot of a book drop like a forgotten donation. Marion, a part-time archivist, full-time insomniac, found it. She almost didn't open it. Something about the stitching on the wrapping made her pause. It looked too perfect, like it had been sealed with a needle held by something that didn't blink. She took it home later that day to see what was inside. Inside was a book with no title on the spine. The cover was soft, old leather too warm to the touch. The pages smelled faintly of lavender and ash. On the inside cover, one line had been handwritten in thin, spidery ink.
Read by flame. Finish before light dies, or you will be added.
Marion laughed. Library humor, probably. Still, something about it itched at the back of her brain. She ran her fingers along the inside cover, feeling the faint inside of the ink as if it had been pressed by something trembling. The words shimmered faintly in the dim light of the room, almost pushing with breath. She hesitated. Her apartment was empty, but the kind of empty that echoed. She wasn't afraid exactly, but she felt observed. After a moment, she reached into the supply drawer, struck a match, and lit a candle. The flame swayed gently. The shadows receded. She opened the book to the first page. It didn't start with a title or even a chapter heading, just a single line centered near the top. What you desire most can be found within these pages, but only by candlelight may the truth be seen. The sentence seemed to pulse with a strange gravity, not a promise exactly, a temptation. Below it, more words emerged, less a narrative and more a reflection.
Some books teach, others warn. This one remembers. Turn the page only if you're ready to be remembered in return.
Marion squinted. The ink shimmered faintly, as though still wet. She turned the page. There began a story of a name she did not recognize, of a life that had nothing to do with her, or so she thought. The first true chapter was titled simply Eliza Crow. She lived alone in a quiet coastal village, though the book gave no exact date. From the description, oil lamps, carriages, or muddy streets, pressed lace, and handwritten invitations. It felt like the 1800s. The writing painted her as a clever and composed, though burdened by solitude. She had recently received a package delivered not by post, but left at her door by an unknown hand. It had no return address, no note, only her name sketched in faint graphite across the outer wrapping. Inside, a book, bound in soft worn leather, wrapped in wax cloth and sealed with twine. The sender was unnamed, but the writing hinted at someone she once knew, a suitor she turned down years before, a man with strange habits and a habit of watching too long. She once called his actions too poetic to be sincere. Now she wasn't sure he'd ever stopped watching. Eliza placed the book at her writing desk. lit a candle and opened the cover. The first line shimmered faintly. What you desire most can be found within these pages, but only by candlelight may the truth be seen. Marian leaned in. There was a strange rhythm to their writing. It felt like the book had been written in a trance, streamed straight from memory. She thought she heard a faint sound like a fingernail dragging slowly across the wood. She looked up, heart skipping. The room remained still. Then she saw it. A margin note, just a few lines scratched between paragraphs like afterthoughts.
The light is thinning.
She blinked. The ink was fresh. The scratch came again, closer now from the wall behind her. Eliza turned the final page. The entry ended abruptly. There was no explanation, only a mention that the candle had gone out and that Eliza, so full of resolve and caution, was simply gone. Then alone on the final line of a page, a sentence had been added in smaller script. You are being watched. Marian stiffened. The candlelight seemed to grow lower. She closed the book, not slammed, but slowly, deliberately, like it might bite. But even as the cover shut, something tugged at her attention. A faint rustling like pages turned themselves. She looked down. The book had reopened. The next few chapters unfolded rapidly, each telling the story of a different person. Their names varied, men, women, and children. But the pattern stayed the same. They each encountered the book. They each read it by candlelight, and one by one they vanished. Sometimes the chapters ended mid-sentence. Sometimes, with a final scratch of ink that read, "The light expired." As she flipped to the next chapter, it began to describe her apartment, the color of her sheets, the dreams she had had the night before. Then it shifted. Words started appearing in the margins, curling like veins. She hadn't noticed them at first, but when she looked closer, she saw they were new. Ink still glistening.
Don't turn the page.
She did. The candle flickered violently. Behind her, a shadow crossed the wall, but she was alone. She turned another page. This time the writing described what was happening now, the candlelight, her shivering hands, the goosebumps rising on her arms, and then, you
Are being watched.
She slammed the book shut, keeping the candle burning beside her. Silence. But the shadow didn't leave. Then came more scratching. At first faint, then longer, deeper, like claws dragging down plaster. It circled the room, angry, searching. She waited, breath held, for something to move, for the tick of a clock, for anything, but the room was suspended in stillness, like time had been paused. Then she heard it. A whisper, faint and dry, like paper sliding across paper.
Keep reading.
The candle flickered violently. The flame turned blue, as if reacting to something unseen. The book had opened itself. The text was waiting. And in the margins, something new had been written.
Do not let the light die. It sees you better in the dark.
The flame trembled. The book had begun describing her again, but not just her thoughts of the apartment. This time it was her posture, her hand hesitating over the page, the bead of sweat near her temple. It wasn't just recording anymore, it was watching. She flipped back a few pages, searching for an earlier name, some thread that might explain what the book wanted from her. A chapter she hadn't noticed before revealed itself in the flickering light. Clara Winslow, 1909. The entry was sparse, almost reluctant to tell her story. It hinted that she had once found the manuscript, lit a flame, and read too slowly. The candle had gone out. Her name was written again at the bottom of the page, in smaller, sharper ink. Nothing else, no ending, no resolution, just the words, silence. Marian felt the room tighten. Marian tried to pull back. She flipped again through the book, but no matter where she turned, the pages resisted her. They fluttered and they settled again, always on a chapter where the only thing printed was her name. Marian Reed. The ink was wet. A low scratching began again, louder this time. It dragged against the wall just behind her bed, circling and pacing, like nails on a chalkboard. She kept the candle close. Its flame stretched longer and thinner, like it was reaching towards something unseen. She tried to close the book again. It wouldn't shut. The page before her began to darken at the edges. Words bled through like bruises surfacing beneath the skin.
The light is all that keeps you unwritten.
Her breath caught. The scratching stopped. Silence folded the room in half. Then came a soft exhale. From nowhere, a breath not her own. The candle's flame danced unnaturally, casting tall, twitching shadows that didn't match her movements. The book flipped again. Her name, the line.
There is no next chapter. Only you.
The writing became erratic, as though the ink were shaking. Lines formed, then smeared, then reformed, all spelling out one truth.
You've stayed too long.
The flame snapped sideways. Scratching exploded across the walls. Closer, angrier, the sound came from inside them. Within the drywall, behind the power outlets, beneath the floorboards, the manuscript trembled beneath her hands. A word etched itself into the margins beside her palm.
No turning back.
She looked up, the shadows bending toward her now. The candle trembled in its base. She clutched the book to her chest, but the pages flipped away. Her name again. Then...
You open it. The story has begun. The candle is the only thing keeping you from being written.
She froze. Another line surfaced like bruised ink.
Keep reading or fade.
The shadows leaned closer, and the scratching never stopped. She didn't know how long she had been sitting there. The book had stopped flipping. The scratching had stilled, but not vanished. She stared at the candle. It was all that kept her safe, all that kept her outside the story. The book no longer wrote. Her name was already there. She could stay like this, candlelit, eyes wide, barely breathing, forever maybe. But her hand trembled. She shifted. Her elbow caught the base of the candle. It tipped over. The flame touched wax and died with a whisper. Instantly, the shadows surged forward. Ink spilled across the page. Her body froze. The final line appeared.
She was written.
She opened her mouth to scream, but the book claimed her. The pages sealed with a snap, her presence vanishing like the final wisp of smoke curling from her candle just extinguished. I see you listened all the way through. You're braver than most, or perhaps more curious. The Candlelight manuscript has been closed again, for now, but you and I both know stories like that don't stay silent for long. So if you should ever come across a manuscript bound in soft leather, sealed in wax cloth, and warm to the touch, be careful. If the inscription warns you to read only by candlelight, maybe don't read it at all. Come back next time. I'll be here in the dark with another tale from the shelves. Until then, traveler, mind the shadows. They like to linger, and be leery of the whispers in the dark. Thanks again for listening to this episode of The Secret Library, brought to you by Dark Dial Studios. We'd like to thank again our audio engineer, Adam Graves, for stepping in and helping us out. And remember to always listen to the whispers in the dark.